Hello, everyone. Welcome. And let me give you a huge welcome and big virtual hug for joining our first Spacechat Live. It is such a privilege to live in this incredible digital age where, despite the really important restrictions on physical contact for a while, we can still connect millions together in real time like this to socialize and share ideas and perhaps learn some important lessons about what it means to be part of our great human family. I know that many of you have already submitted questions, and I will answer as many of those as I can at the end of the session. And any questions that we haven't gotten to here, we will answer on social media. So thanks for joining. My name is Beth Moses, and I'm Chief Astronaut Instructor for Virgin Galactic. And pinch me, I am also a professional astronaut. I'm talking with you from New Mexico in the United States. It's the location of our beautiful Spaceport America headquarters and home to our rather fabulous spacecraft VSS Unity, which ferried myself and two of our pilots, Dave and Such, on a breathtaking, amazing journey to space and safely back again just about a year ago. In future Spacechat episodes, you'll hear more about the design of those spacecraft, our spacecraft, and what it takes to build the world's first space line. But today we decided to cut straight to the chase and tell you about a journey that I have no doubt many of you will take. What is it really like to strap into a spacecraft designed and built specifically for you and head for the black of space? Let's start with a video which shows the highlights from my trip. I love that video. So let's see, I find it a little bit awkward to talk about myself, but there is no one else here with me. And some of you may be wondering how I qualified for my flight and came to be an astronaut, or how you can come to be an astronaut. I'm an aerospace engineer, and before joining Virgin Galactic, I spent many years at NASA testing hardware in extreme environments, thermal vacuum chambers, neutral buoyancy testing facilities, and in parabolic aircraft that allowed us to experience very brief exposures of weightlessness and high G. G is a measure of the force on your body. We talk about it in increments of the gravity that you feel on Earth, 1G, 2G, 3G, or 0G. If you go around a sharp turn, that force you feel is G. If you go up over the top of a roller coaster and you feel light, that's reduced G. And if you pull up, say out of the bottom of a roller coaster, and you feel compressed, that's elevated G. So I've had a lot of experience conducting hardware and also training astronauts to test hardware in different extreme environments, including testing the hardware used to assemble the space station. The pilot corps at Virgin Galactic is made up of expert test pilots. It's fair to say that the two pilots who were in the cockpit during my spaceflight, Dave Mackay and Mike Masucci, are among the most experienced in the world. That's why they were flying the spacecraft. And likewise, I was highly experienced and in the cabin conducting an engineering evaluation due to my experience. I was actually the first person to fly in the cabin of our spacecraft in order to test it out for all of you. And as the chief astronaut instructor, I'm responsible to train everyone who flies in that cabin. And so it helps that I've gone through it myself and I can tell folks exactly how it feels at each moment. So let's do that now. Welcome to Astronaut Training YouTube edition. First up is boarding. So I strapped myself into seat 2R of Spaceship 2. You can see Spaceship 2 in this graphic here. It's the spacecraft that's in the center. And around Spaceship 2 is White Knight 2, our mothership, a catamaran dual fuselage aircraft that carries Spaceship 2 to release altitude. And this is the spaceport in New Mexico. I strapped in to 2R, which is the second row right-hand seat. Each seat is both an aisle seat and a window seat. You have a very large window next to you and another one right above you. And from the cabin, you can see out all of the cockpit, cockpit windows in front, 5 cockpit windows. Takeoff was like a normal airplane, except that we climbed at a slightly steeper angle. And the first 45 minutes of the flight, you're climbing to release altitude underneath Eve, and you can hear your pilots talking to each other, the pilots of the mothership, White Knight 2, talking to each other, and mission control. I was checking the sensors that I was wearing under my suit and activating cameras, and also reviewing and chair flying my procedures for my microgravity test, which I had on a cuff checklist. So I was getting ready for the cabin test that was coming up in space. By the time of launch, we were all looking down from roughly 45,000 feet, which is a good bit higher than a commercial airplane travels. So it would be higher than anything you've seen before. And there are really impressive views. And then it was time for release. So I heard Kelly Latimer, the pilot in Eve. You heard her voice in the video, 3, 2, 1, release. And then we gently dropped off of Eve. So at release, Eve loses half her weight. The spacecraft weighs roughly the same as the mothership. And they separate. Eve has all that lift, so she soars up, and you can see her soaring away through your window. And you feel light, and you free fall, like off of a drop tower. It's quiet, and it's smooth. And for me, I experienced time dilation. I was trained within a microsecond. I knew exactly what to expect, but it felt a lot longer than it was, about 3 times as long. So I'll roll that into the training. And of course, I was anticipating and eagerly looking forward my entire life for the next thing, which is the rocket motor ignition. So then the rocket motor ignites and you're pressed back in your seat. It is smooth, it is exhilarating, it is unlike anything you've ever felt. You go 0 to 60 in under a second. You actually start with just a little bit of velocity. It's not technically 0 to 60 because you had some forward velocity that Mothership Eve gave you. But roughly comparably, you're going 0 to 60 in under a second, 0.8 of a second, which is faster than any car you've ever been in. And then Unity goes supersonic in about 8 seconds. And you hear the pilot's call Mach 1. Mach is a measure of speed. Mach 1 is the speed of sound, 800 miles per hour, roughly. And after the spacecraft goes supersonic, the pilots then pitch the nose up and turn it towards space. At this point in my seat, I was compressed back in my seat with 3G, but as the pilots turned towards space, I was also compressed downward in my seat. For about the duration of 2 breaths, I was under roughly 3.5 G, pressed downward in my seat. And it feels like pressure, but The biggest thing I noticed was the look of it. At this point, the spacecraft is leaving the atmosphere. The atmosphere thins with altitude. The higher you are in the sky, the thinner the atmosphere is. And so during that gamma turn, outside the windows, the sky was purple and beautiful. And then we were flat on our back. It was black out the window, and we were headed towards space. So during boost, you can hear the pilots calling out ever increasing velocity, Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 2.5, Mach 3. And then the rocket motor cuts off, and it is smooth and silent. You don't lurch forward in your straps. It's a smooth cutoff. You feel weightless. Weightlessness is perhaps hard to describe. Hollywood always shows it as your arms floating up. Your arms don't actually float up. My arms didn't float up, but you feel completely free, natural. Everybody always laughs and smiles. It feels delightful. It's really ironic because we spend our entire lives in 1G in gravity, and yet weightlessness feels perfectly natural and joyous. At this point, the ship and the occupants, the humans in the ship, are traveling straight upward. You actually don't leave Earth's gravity when you're weightless, but with respect to the ship, there are no forces on you. You're both coasting upward at the same rate. So I was waiting at this point for the pilots to clear me out of my seat. I heard Dave say I was clear to unstrap, and then I checked that I felt healthy and safe, and the cabin was still healthy and safe. And I unstrapped. And the first thing I did was look out the window. The pilots actually heard me exclaim, "Oh, the curve of the Earth," because it's just gorgeous. You can see the curve and the Earth below you, and it just takes your breath away. I had less than 1 second to enjoy that because I was doing the job. The next thing I needed to do was keep doing my cabin test, check that I could get back in my seat, that the seat and the straps were still safe, test another way to get out of the seat, and then I leaned forward, floated into the cabin, went and checked the various handrails and translation aids that we've built into the cabin so that you can enjoy your time in the cabin. I never felt like the cabin was too big. It was always very spacious, but there was always something I could touch and help myself get around. It's a really delightful volume. And I made my way toward the cockpit where I greeted my pilots. And we together experienced the highest point of the flight. So our flight is ballistic. We coast all the way up to a stop. Apogee is the highest point of the space flight. And it was the most magic experience of my life. All 5 astronauts that have flown with Virgin Galactic have said the same thing. Apogee is unreal, magical. It feels timeless. It feels eternal. I was unstrapped, weightless, hovering with this, overview of the Earth, completely still, and it was very, very hard to describe, very indescribable. The view is amazing. So the sky is black of space. It is deep, 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 dark, matte black, and you feel kind of like you're looking through time. It's just endless. And then the Earth below is what captivated me. It is bright. It was high definition. I could see for 1,000 miles. I could see halfway up my country, the United States of America, and halfway down into the next country south, Mexico, and out across the Pacific Ocean. And on the day we flew, there were no clouds. It was a clear sky, and snow was blanketing the southern part of the United States. So imagine looking down through the atmosphere or a swimming pool instead of looking across, like if you're underwater looking through a swimming pool. Well, I was above looking down through perfectly clear air. Our atmosphere is super, super thin. And so I had this perfect clear view of snow on the mountaintops, glistening as bright as it could be. I thought Earth was wearing her diamonds for all of us that day, and I will forever love the sight of snow-capped mountains because it is glistening and bright. Earth is precious and priceless and beautiful, especially from above. But then again, it was time again to get back in my seat. Again, I didn't have as much time to enjoy it as everyone else would because I was doing a test. But when the time came, I had 2 stopwatches and a timeline to stick to. I stopped enjoying apogee and looking out the window and headed back into the cabin. I checked out some fun features in the cabin that are designed for you. And then I strapped in. It was important to strap back into my seat on time. I was strapped into my lap belt before the ship had coasted back down to the tippy top of the atmosphere. So before any G had started to build up, I was strapped in and ready. Coming back through the atmosphere in entry is very stable and safe. Our ship has tail booms that fold up so that we re-enter the atmosphere in a stable configuration. And as you come through the atmosphere, there's another period of high G, about 3.5 G. And then the pilots unfold the ship and glide to a runway landing. It was quite a flight. And the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can't wait until everybody else experiences it. And we have built what we set out to build, which is a system that can open space to all and help to transform us. I really do believe that we are all living through the dawn of a space age where we all realize more and more that we share a planetary perspective and that we are all one human family across the globe and connected. You see it that way from space, you really do. So I landed and was very excited that our project had gotten that far and that we would soon be able to take all of you to space. So now we are almost at the end of our first Space Chat. I can't wait for the next one, and I hope many of you feel the same way. We will get together again the same time and the same place next week. And you're going to hear from Mike, our president, who used to launch the space shuttle and who will be giving what sounds like a pretty exciting talk entitled How to Design a Spaceship. Before that, perhaps research the overview effect and also do have a look at our Kids Corner. It's a section of our website, which is at www.galacticunite.com/Kids Corner, where you can download some cool space activities just in case you've got some time to kill. And once again, that's galacticunite.com/Kids Corner. And we have time for just a couple of shout outs and questions. Let's see, I'm going to see if these questions are scrolling in. Let's see. Can I explain Mach in miles per hour? Yes, I can. So Mach 1, some people round it to about 1,000 miles per hour. I think it's technically 767. I might have even written down roughly 800 miles per hour, which is super fast on a freeway. If you're in a car on a freeway, you're going 60 or 70 or 80 miles per hour. So Mach 1 is over 10 times as fast as that. Let's see. Next question is, we have some drawings sent to us by future rocket scientists Ada Ahusker and Izzy from the UK. Oh my gosh, you guys sent in drawings. Thank you so much for sending them. Let's see if we can put them up. Hopefully that's on its way. I'll go ahead and take some more questions. There's a question from Maria in New York. When did I first become interested in space? I have always been interested in space. I don't remember a time that it didn't fascinate me, just, as a little kid, maybe even before I knew the words for it. And I remember in high school reading a pamphlet that discussed aerospace engineers as astronauts. And I thought, wow, that is what I am, an aerospace engineer. I always wanted to build and fly spacecraft, always. I think it's a common human longing. We are all explorers. We all long to help each other and show each other the fun things in life. I think it's a real common thing for all of us to look up at the stars or look up at the sky and want to go there. I just never let go of that. I always loved it. Let's see. I understand that folks have seen these pictures, so I just sort of described what the pictures were that you saw earlier, drawings that were sent to us. Thanks again for sending them in. Another question. Lewis from Richmond in the UK. Did I see any mysterious things in space? No, I didn't see any mysterious things in space, although I do like to tease my pilots that I didn't see any aliens except the 2 pilots that flew with me. I was very well trained. I've been in aerospace all my life. I've seen photos and images and IMAX movies and high-def video of Earth from space for my entire career. And the most amazing, shocking, mysterious thing I saw was the Earth. Pictures just do not do it justice. Videos, images, IMAX movies, they just don't do it justice. It is so amazing, so bright. I can still call that up. I can still feel it in my soul. The most amazing thing I saw from space was Earth and you. It's just, it's really something. Let's see, let me go back to the questions. Sandeep from India would like to know, what path should a child take if they want to become an astronaut? Sandeep, I would suggest you study hard, and then study harder, and then study some more, but also remain curious and never give up, and just keep striving toward it. We are at the dawn of an era where many, many, many more people and countries and governments and companies will be sending humans to space. It is a rare thing so far. I was the 571st person to fly to space. I think there are 575 of us now total, 65 women. But that's about to change. It shouldn't be that small of a number. Everyone should have a chance to see this magic and understand how connected we are as a global family. So I am getting the cue here that this is all we have time for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. You guys have been amazing. The questions have been amazing. I'm going to get all emotional about my flight and space and all of you again now. But please stay safe, stay well, keep having fun. I'm going to leave you with a couple of thoughts, given the time frame we're living in. I am sure all of you are very dutifully washing your hands frequently. Please do that. And you're all hopefully counting up to 20 as your doctors and parents have recommended. Well, the next time you wash your hands, do it like an astronaut. Count down from 20 to 3, 2, 1, release, release, release. Thank you so much for joining us, and please have a great day.